Tara slammed her fist against the glass table so hard the sound cracked through her apartment. Papers scattered across the floor. Contracts, old schedules, photos of her standing beside Chike during his greatest achievements. Her voice shook as she whispered to the empty room. I gave you everything, Chike. Everything.
I gave you everything, Chike.
She had held herself together for weeks, pretending she was fine, pretending she had moved on after being replaced by someone who once cleaned the floors beneath her desk. But pain always finds a way to leak through the cracks. And tonight, it poured out uncontrollably. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Desmond Cole. Heard things are changing for you. Want to talk? Tara stared at the message. She didn't reply. She walked to her mirror instead, wiping her face with angry hands. You're not weak, she told herself. You're not going to let them turn you into nothing. But that voice, cold, wounded, humiliated, kept echoing in her mind. Ezinne smiling beside Chike. The board thanking Ezinne for a presentation Tara once would have delivered flawlessly. Chike saying, Tara, I can't rely on a person who's already planning her exit strategy. That line stabbed deeper than anything. Her phone vibrated again. Desmond. Meet me. Midnight. Atlantic Pearl rooftop. She didn't plan to go. She didn't plan to stay either. The clock hit 11:56 p.m., and Tara found herself stepping out of her building, heart pounding with a mixture of rage and purpose. Her life was no longer hers. It was war now. When she reached the rooftop bar, the wind was sharp. Desmond sat alone with a drink, watching the city like it belonged to him. He smirked when she approached. Tara Bassi, he said slowly, as if savoring her name. The woman who built Madwako Technologies from the shadows. I didn't come for flattery, she snapped. He leaned forward. Good, because I came with an offer. She didn't sit down at first. She didn't trust him. She didn't trust anyone anymore. Desmond gestured to the empty chair. If you want him to feel what you felt, sit. Her knees weakened, not from fear, but from the weight of betrayal. She sat. Desmond slid a folder toward her. You know Chike's weakness better than anyone. Help me beat him. How? Information. Access. The right push in the right direction. He took a slow sip. You've been thrown aside. I know how that feels. Tara's voice cracked, despite her effort to sound strong. He didn't just throw me aside. He replaced me with her. Ezinne, Desmond said with a mocking smile. The saint. Don't say her name like that, Tara whispered. Desmond raised a brow. So you defend her too? Tara shook her head sharply. No, I defend what I built, and she's walking into a world I created. Desmond studied her, face, seeing everything he needed. You want justice. I want Chike to feel the loss he made me feel, she said. I want him to understand the cost of choosing her over the person who held his empire together. Desmond smiled slowly, the smile of a man who had just acquired a powerful weapon. Then let's break him, he said. Tara didn't reply, but she didn't walk away either. The silent war began that night. By the next morning, Tara's apartment was filled with the glow of computer screens. Malik Ogundele, the cyber mercenary Desmond hired, typed in rapid bursts, breaking through layers of firewalls Tara herself helped design years ago. You really remember these systems, Malik said without looking up. Tara folded her arms. I built half of them. Malik whistled softly. Your boy Chike messed up letting you go. He didn't let me go, she said. He replaced me. Malik smirked. Same thing. No, Tara whispered. It's not. Within hours, Malik accessed confidential project files, plans for Maduako Technologies' unreleased AI prototype, EtherCore. Tara's stomach twisted seeing it. That was the project she once poured her soul into, and now she was stealing it. A part of her felt sick, but the wounded part of her, the one that bled every time she saw Ezinne in the news beside Chike, kept whispering, "He chose her. He chose her. He chose her." That voice drowned every hesitation. Tara sent the files to Desmond with a simple message: "Make good use of them." She closed her laptop, hands trembling. Hours later, the first blow landed. Anonymous allegations appeared online: Hope Bridge laundering money, favoritism, Ezinne unqualified to lead, rapid promotions suspicious, fake invoices, fabricated donor records. The comments section exploded. Of course he married her. Free upgrade. How did a maid jump from cleaning floors to handling millions? This foundation stinks! Ezinne saw it the moment she woke up. She sat on the edge of the bed, phone trembling in her hand. "Chike?" she called softly. He rushed in. "What happened?" She handed him the phone. He read everything, his jaw clenched, and for the first time since their marriage, fear flickered in his eyes. "This is coordinated," he said. "Someone is trying to tear us down." "But why?" Ezinne whispered. "Who did we hurt?" Chike didn't answer, but he had a name burning in his mind: Tara. Kunle walked in exactly then. "Oga, we have a problem with the press, and donors are already pulling out." Chike exhaled sharply. "Let them. We'll handle it." Ezinne placed her hand on his arm. "We'll handle it together." Tara watched them from her apartment through the live stream coverage, her chest tightening unexpectedly. She didn't expect to feel anything. She thought revenge would feel powerful. Instead, it felt empty. But she hardened her heart again. "It's too late to turn back," she whispered. And the second phase of her war hadn't even begun. If you're feeling this story so far, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment. It helps us keep bringing emotionally rich African stories like this. Tara thought she had prepared herself for the fallout, but nothing could have prepared her for how quickly things spiraled. By afternoon, the story had spread across every tech blog in Nigeria. A few hours later, international outlets began reaching out. Words like fraud, favoritism, and nepotism scandal were being thrown around like stones. In her office at Hope Bridge, Ezinne sat trembling slightly as she read yet another email from a donor withdrawing support. "Madam, please understand. Our board cannot risk being associated with any foundation under investigation." "But there is no investigation," Ezinne whispered, her voice barely audible. The representative sighed. "Not yet, but rumors alone can destroy trust." When the call ended, she dropped her head into her hands. Her chest tightened, and for a moment she couldn't breathe. Kunle, ever watchful, entered quietly. "Madam Ezinne, you need to take a break." She looked up with glassy eyes. "Break? If I break now, everything collapses." Kunle hesitated, then said the one thing she didn't want to hear. "Where is Oga Chike?" "He's in crisis mode with the board," she whispered. "I told him to focus there. I can manage here." Kunle shook his head. "Not alone. Not this storm." Before she could respond, her phone vibrated again. Another notification, another accusation. She closed her eyes, whispering, "Who is doing this to us?" Across town, Tara watched the chaos unfold on her flat-screen TV. Every headline felt like a twisted victory, but her heart didn't rise with triumph. Instead, she felt an ache she couldn't explain. Desmond called her with a smug tone. Look at the damage, Tara. This is only phase 1. She turned down the TV speaker. Ezinne looks destroyed. Desmond shrugged. Collateral damage. You wanted revenge. I wanted Chike to feel what I felt, Tara said quietly. I never wanted to ruin an innocent woman. Desmond laughed at that. Innocent? She took what was yours. You think she didn't know? Women like her always play the humble act. Tara looked away. She didn't believe that, and Desmond's words only made the emptiness inside her sharper. Meanwhile, at Maduako Technologies, Chike stood at the head of a tense boardroom. His executives argued bitterly, tossing blame around like live wires. Veltrix stole our prototype. This is a direct attack. We can't prove it, and the board of Veltrix denies everything. And now the foundation is collapsing. Under scandal. Investors are panicking. We need a scapegoat. Chike slammed his palm on the table. The room fell silent. There will be no scapegoats, he said quietly. We don't tear down our own to look innocent. The head of finance spoke up, voice shaking. Then what's your plan, Chike? Because the company is bleeding. Chike stared at the table for a long moment before answering. We find the source of this attack, and we end it. His vision flashed with a memory, Tara's last look before she left the company. There had been pain in her eyes, not anger. He pushed the thought aside. Meeting adjourned. As he walked out of the building, reporters swarmed him with flashing cameras. Mr. Maduako, is it true Hope Bridge laundered money? Is your wife qualified to run a foundation this large? Have you lost control of your company? Chike clenched his jaw. No comments. One question pierced through the noise. Sir, is it true your former assistant is behind this sabotage? Chike froze. He turned toward the journalist, eyes narrowing. Who told you that? But the man just smiled. Sources. Chike got in the car. Kunle, driving, eyed him through the rearview mirror. Sir, you're thinking it. Chike didn't pretend. Yes, and I hate that I am. Kunle's tone remained neutral. Should we contact Tara? No, Chike said firmly. If she's behind this, reaching out now will only push her further. If she is behind it, Kunle repeated. Chike didn't respond, because somewhere inside, he was afraid the answer was yes. Back at Hope Bridge, Ezinne stood before the employees, who looked terrified beyond words. Please, she said gently, don't panic. We're going to get through this. A young intern raised her hand. Madam, are we closing down? No, Ezinne said firmly. We don't stop feeding children because liars are loud. Someone exhaled shakily. Another wiped their eyes. Ezinne steadied her voice. If you believe we're innocent, stay with me. If you feel unsafe, I won't blame you for leaving. Not a single person moved. Kunle stepped forward. Madam, you have their trust. Ezinne nodded, but her heart still hurt. Desmond watched her speech online and sneered. She thinks words can fix everything. Tara watched too, and didn't sneer. Her throat tightened. She remembered the first time she saw Ezinne in Chike's house. Quiet, gentle, moving with humility. She remembered the night Ezinne fed her dinner when Tara worked too late to go home. Eat something, Ezinne had said softly then. You work yourself too hard. Years later, that memory stabbed Tara like a blade. She whispered to herself, What am I doing? But Desmond dragged her deeper with a single message. Desmond. Veltrix. Launches Ether tomorrow. Be ready. You'll get your victory. She typed slowly. Okay. But her fingers shook. The next day was chaos. Veltrix announced the launch of Ether, a stripped but recognizable version of Chike's AI. Tech communities erupted. The board nearly combusted. Investors demanded answers. Chike's office shook with panic. "This is war," one executive shouted. "They stole everything," another screamed. Chike slammed the prototype folder on the table. "Someone inside gave them this." His eyes darkened. Tara's face burned in his mind. Back at her apartment, Tara sat on the floor, surrounded by everything she once used to be. Graduation photos, awards, old planning calendars from the company. Her phone buzzed. "Desmond, we destroyed him. Congratulations." She didn't smile. She didn't even reply. Then something unexpected happened. At home, Chike and Ezinne appeared on social media. Together, calm, united, resolute. They gave a short, powerful statement. "This is not the end. This is a trial, and we will not be broken by lies." People started resharing it. "Love this couple. They're handling this with dignity. Hopebridge changed my life. I stand with them." For the first time, Tara felt fear. Not fear of being caught. Fear that she had already lost the one thing she wanted most. Chike seeing her worth. And the guilt of what she had done to Ezinne pressed on her like a weight. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Desmond. It was Ezinne. A single email. Subject: "When you're ready, I am willing to talk." Ezinne Tara stared at the screen. Her breath broke. Something inside her cracked wide open. Tara didn't sleep that night. She lay on her couch staring at the ceiling, Ezinne's email burning in her mind. "When you're ready, I am willing to talk." It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a warning. It was kindness. The one thing Tara didn't know how to receive anymore. By morning, her eyes were swollen, but she didn't cry. She was past tears. She moved in slow motion, making coffee she didn't drink, opening her laptop, closing it again, pacing the apartment like a caged animal. "She wants to talk," she muttered. "What does she want? Confession? Apology? To see me humiliated?" Her phone buzzed. Desmond. She ignored it. He called. She watched the screen light up, then fade. He called again. On the third call, she picked up. "What?" she said flatly. "Well, good morning to you too," Desmond replied. "We just crippled your old boss. I expected a little more enthusiasm." "Did we?" Tara said quietly. "Because last time I checked, he's still standing, and people still love him." "That's temporary," Desmond said. "Give it time. Scandal has a delayed burn." Tara closed her eyes. "Do you ever get tired?" "Of what?" "Being like this," she said. "Everything is a game to you, a move, a hit. Doesn't it get exhausting?" Desmond laughed. "You're the one who came to me, Tara. Don't suddenly grow a conscience now." His tone cooled. "We have more work to do. Veltrix needs full access. Internal culture, board dynamics, anything we can use." "I already gave you more than enough." "You gave me a start," he corrected. "Don't lose focus just because your ex-boss made a cute speech with his wife." The way he said, "his wife," made something twist in her chest. "I'll be in touch," she said, and hung up before he could answer. She opened Ezinne's email again. "When you're ready, I am willing to talk." She hovered over the reply button, her fingers shaking. She didn't reply. Instead, she shut the laptop, grabbed her keys, and walked out of her apartment. She didn't know where she was going until she found herself standing in front of a small compound in Yaba. Laundry hung on lines. Children chased each other around buckets of water. A familiar voice floated from inside. Tara, you this girl? You forgot you have a sister? Someone teased. It was Amaka. Tara stood outside the gate for a full minute, hand pressed against the metal, before finally knocking. Who is that? Amaka called out. It's me. The gate creaked open. Amaka froze when she saw her. Tara? Her eyes widened. What are you doing here? I needed to see you, Tara said. Her voice sounded small, even to herself. Amaka stepped aside, pulling her in for a hug. You look tired. I am tired. They went inside. The room was small but filled with warmth, photos on the wall, a fan humming, a pot of stew bubbling in the corner. So, Amaka said, studying her face, you're finally free from that man's company. I thought you'd be happy. Tara laughed without humor. Free, is that what this is? Amaka didn't push. She just sat beside her and waited. Do you remember when we were kids? Tara asked suddenly. When Uncle would come to the house and you'd hide under the bed? Amaka's jaw tightened. I remember. You were shaking so much, Tara continued quietly. And Mama was at the market. There was no one else. I told him I'd fetch water and I ran with the bucket, hid with you, and we stayed there until Mama came back. She swallowed hard. After that day, I promised myself nobody would ever have that kind of power over us again. Not hunger, not men, not circumstances, nothing. Amaka's eyes softened. You kept that promise, Tara. You carried us on your back. At what cost? Tara whispered. I don't know who I am without a war. I don't know how to live without fighting somebody. Amaka hesitated. Is this about Chike? Tara's eyes darkened. He threw me away like an old file. I was there before the investors, before the interviews, before the Forbes list. I cleaned up his messes, fixed his errors, stayed awake so he could sleep. And then one day, he looks at me and sees a liability. And Ezinne? Amaka asked softly. Tara flinched. Ezinne is complicated. She seems kind, Amaka said. From the news. She is kind, Tara snapped, then caught herself. That's the problem. Amaka waited. Tara dropped her face into her hands. I'm doing something bad, Amaka. Her sister inhaled sharply. How bad? Very bad. Legal bad? Amaka asked slowly. Tara didn't answer. Emotional silence thickened between them. Amaka reached for her hand. You always believed you had to fight to exist, Tara. But not everyone is your enemy. Not every loss is an attack. Her voice softened. You were hurt, I know. But if you destroy him, will you really feel better? Or will you just be emptier? Tara's eyes filled with tears, but she forced them down. I don't know how to stop. You start by telling the truth, Amaka said, even if it's just to yourself. Tara's phone buzzed. She ignored it. After a while, she stood. I have to go. Amaka rose with her. Please be careful. Don't let your pain turn you into someone you don't recognize. Tara kissed her forehead. That already happened a long time ago. She left, feeling heavier than when she arrived. Back at Hope Bridge, Ezinne sat in her tiny office, scrolling through financial reports and smear articles that made her stomach churn. She rubbed her temples, exhausted when Kunle knocked and stepped in. There's someone here to see you, he said. Press? She asked. No, a woman. She says she's family's, but not yours. He paused. Her name is Amaka. Ezinne blinked. Send her in. Amaka entered, looking both nervous and determined. Good afternoon, she greeted quietly. Ezinne stood. Good afternoon. Please sit. How can I help you? Amaka twisted her fingers together. My name is Amaka Bassi. I'm Tara's sister. The room seemed to hold its breath. Ezinne's face went still, but her eyes softened. I see. I know what you're thinking, Amaka blurted. And you're right to be angry. But I didn't come to defend what she's done. I came because I think you should understand why she's the way she is. Ezinne gestured for her to continue. We grew up with nothing, Amaka began quietly. Our father left. My mother was always working. Tara was still a child when she became everything. Sister, father, shield, provider. She never really lived for herself. She lived for everyone else. Her eyes glistened. So when she finally got something that was hers, a position, respect, power, and felt it taken away, it didn't just feel like a job loss. It felt like erasing her existence. Ezinne swallowed. I never wanted to erase her. I know, Amaka replied. You didn't do anything wrong by being chosen, but pain doesn't always listen to reason. They sat in silence for a moment. Is she behind this? Ezinne asked softly. The rumors, the sabotage. Amaka hesitated, then exhaled. I think you already know the answer. Ezinne did. In her gut, she had known. But she's not a monster, Amaka continued. Just lost. Ezinne looked down at her hands. So what do I do? If she is hurting us, do I just understand her? No, Amaka said gently. Protect yourself. Protect your work. But if there's room left in your heart, don't hate her. She fumbled in her bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper. She doesn't know I'm here. She'd probably never forgive me if she did. But I feel like God won't let me rest if I don't say this. She pushed the paper forward. This is a copy of her old employment contract with Maduako Technologies. Ezinne frowned. Why are you giving this to me? Because there's a clause in there, Amaka said. A non-compete. If she's working with your enemies now, legally she's in trouble. Big trouble. And I don't want her to go to prison. Ezinne unfolded the paper slowly, scanning it. There it was, a binding clause with heavy penalties. Her heart sank. Does Chike know? She asked. No, Amaka whispered. I came here first because you have mercy in your eyes, and I'm hoping you'll help me convince him not to destroy her, even if she's trying to destroy you. Ezinne closed her eyes for a moment. She imagined herself in Tara's place, watching someone else step into everything she had worked for. Envy was a dangerous thing. So was pain. Thank you for trusting me, Ezinne said quietly. Amaka nodded, tears finally sliding down her cheeks. Please don't let this be the end of her story. After she left, Ezinne sat alone, staring at the contract. Kunle found her like that. You look like you just found a bomb, he said. In a way, I did, she murmured. She handed him the contract. This could bury Tara, Kunle. What do you want to do with it? Ezinne hesitated, then said, Show it to Chike, but tell him this. I don't want revenge. I want this war to end. And if ending it means letting her go free? Kunle asked. Ezinne looked at the Hope Bridge logo on the wall and whispered, Then I'd rather lose a battle than my soul. That night, while Ezinne prepared to walk toward mercy, Tara sat alone in her apartment, finally pulling out her own dusty copy of that same contract. Her hands shook as she reread the clause she once skimmed without care. Non-compete. Legal. Penalties. Breach. Reality hit her like a slap. Desmond knew. He had to know. Her phone rang. Desmond. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then, slowly, she answered. Did you know about my non-compete clause? She asked, skipping any greeting. There was a pause on his end. That's not important right now. Yes or no, Desmond? He exhaled. Of course I knew. Her heart sank. And you still pushed me into this? You're a grown woman, Tara. You made your choices. I made them with half the information, she snapped. You used me. You used me too, he replied coldly. Don't start playing the victim now. For a moment, she couldn't speak. Then, quietly, she said, What happens when this all comes out? Desmond's voice turned ice. Then I make sure Veltrix walks away clean, and you will no longer be my problem. The line went dead. For the first time since this war began, Tara wasn't angry. She was afraid. Kunle didn't knock this time. He stepped into Chike's home office with a look that said everything was about to get worse before it got better. Chike was at his desk, staring at a set of reports he clearly wasn't reading. If it's another withdrawal email, forward it to legal, he muttered. It's not an email, Kunle said. It's this. He placed the folded contract on the table. Chike glanced at it without interest until he saw the familiar logo, Maduako Technologies. He frowned, picking it up. Where did you get this? From someone who doesn't want Tara to disappear in handcuffs, Kunle said. Chike's eyes sharpened. So it's about her? Yes, sir. It's her old employment contract. Chike flipped the pages, scanning quickly until his gaze froze on the non-compete clause. His jaw tightened. She signed this. Yes. And then she went to my competitor with my prototype. Yes. Chike's voice lowered. Do you have any idea the damage this gives us power to inflict? Kunle nodded. I do. That's why I'm here before legal sees it. Chike looked up slowly. Who brought this? Kunle hesitated. Her sister, Amaka. She went to Ezinne first. To Ezinne. Chike's eyebrows pulled together. Why? Because she thinks Ezinne will ask for mercy before destruction. Something in Chike's chest twisted. And what does Ezinne want? Kunle breathed out. She said, she wants the war to end. Not Tara's life. Chike leaned back in his chair, the contract hanging loosely in his hand. She tried to ruin my company. She threw mud on my wife's name. She gave my enemies the knife and pointed them to my back. And Ezinne's first thought is, please don't destroy her. That's who you married, sir, Kunle said simply. Anger flared in Chike's eyes, but it wasn't directed at Ezinne. He slammed the contract onto the table. Does Tara understand what she's done? This isn't office politics. This is a crime. Kunle nodded slowly. She understands now. Desmond used her. Chike scoffed. Of course he did. Men like him only see tools. He stood up and paced the room, fingers pressed against his forehead. If we take this public, we bury her. If we don't, she walks free and might do it again. So tell me, Kunle, what does a man do when his justice and his wife's compassion don't agree? Kunle gave a small, knowing smile. He chooses the one that lets him sleep at night. Chike stared at him for a moment, then exhaled. Call Ezinne. Tell her we're having a press conference tomorrow at Hope Bridge. What should I tell the media it's about? Kunle asked. Truth, Chike said, and something they don't expect from a man they think is bleeding. What's that? Forgiveness. Across the city, Tara sat on her bed with the contract spread out in front of her. It felt like a death sentence. She whispered to herself, You did this. You signed it. You broke it. You can't run from this. Her phone buzzed. Again. Desmond. She stared at his name, then answered with a voice drained of emotion. You knew this contract could ruin me. You're not ruined yet, he said. Calm down. What's your plan, Desmond? She asked. When they come for me, what will Veltrix do? Issue a statement? Deny everything? Leave me to carry it alone? That's how it works, he replied. Everybody is responsible for their own decisions. And you? Tara asked. What are you responsible for? Winning, he said simply. I'm not sure that's what this is, she whispered. Desmond's tone hardened. Listen to me, Tara. If you start wavering now, they will crush you. If you think Chike and his holy foundation are going to hold your hand when lawyers enter the room, you're more naive than I thought. Tara swallowed. I'm not naive. I'm just tired. Tired doesn't matter. Strategy does. And what's your strategy for me? She asked. There was a short silence. When this gets ugly, he said finally, Veltrix will protect Veltrix. You were never an employee. You were an external consultant. So I'm disposable, she said flatly. He didn't deny it. He just ended the call. The quiet that followed was heavier than any insult. For a few minutes, Tara sat completely still. Then, something inside her gave way. She dropped the phone and covered her face as a sob finally escaped, raw, broken, ugly. This is not who I wanted to be, she choked out. God, what am I doing? The next day, cameras lined the front of Hope Bridge Foundation. The building, once a symbol of quiet, compassion, was now the center of public curiosity. Journalists murmured to each other as they tested their microphones. Do you think they'll deny everything? No, they'll blame it on technical issues and miscommunication. They might even sue someone to look strong. None of them were ready for what was about to happen. Inside, Chike adjusted his tie in front of a mirror, but couldn't quite recognize the man staring back at him. You don't have to do this, Ezinne said softly from behind. He met her eyes in the reflection. Don't I? You don't owe Tara mercy, she said. I won't think less of you if you choose to defend us the way the world expects. Chike turned to her. What do you owe her? Ezinne blinked. As a woman? As someone who's been underestimated all her life? Maybe understanding. And as my wife, he asked quietly. She stepped closer. As your wife, I owe you truth. And the truth is, I'm hurt, Chike. Deeply. She tried to drag my name into the mud. She tried to destroy something we built with sincerity. But if we answer her darkness with more darkness, how are we any different? He searched her face. You really believe we can come out of this without destroying her? Yes, she said, because destroying her won't heal us. It will just make us look powerful for a moment and empty forever. He stared at her for a long moment, then nodded. Let's go, he said, before I change my mind. They walked out together, side by side. The moment they stepped up to the podium, the noise outside quieted almost instantly. Reporters raised their microphones. Cameras went live. Chike leaned into the microphone, pausing long enough to let the tension build. You are here today, he began, because some people believe that scandal is more interesting than sincerity. There were a few uneasy chuckles. He continued. In the past few weeks, my wife and I, and the Hope Bridge Foundation, have been accused of fraud, favoritism, exploitation, and incompetence. Our company has been attacked, our integrity questioned, and our peace disrupted. He glanced at Ezinne. She gave him a small nod. So let's make something clear, he said. There's been sabotage, there's been betrayal, and yes, it came from someone who once stood very close to us. The reporters leaned forward. But today, Chike said, I will not show you her name on a screen. I will not parade contracts or threaten lawsuits, not because we don't have them. We do. Not because we are weak. We are not. He looked directly into the cameras. but because we have decided that revenge is too expensive a currency for our souls." A hush fell. Ezinne stepped forward, her voice gentle but steady. "When you spend your days feeding children who were forgotten, or paying hospital bills for people who never thought they'd see help, you learn something. You learn that humans are not defined by their worst decisions. They're shaped by what they do after." Her eyes softened. "Someone we trusted made terrible choices. Choices that hurt us publicly and personally. But we refuse to become what hurt us. We will answer with transparency, yes. With better structures, yes. But also with something rare in our world. Mercy." A reporter called out, "Are you saying you won't pursue legal action at all, even if you know who it is?" Chike held the reporter's gaze. "I am saying this. We will protect our work. We will safeguard our people. But we will not destroy someone simply because we can. If the person responsible chooses to come clean, there is room at our table for confession and restoration. If not..." He exhaled slowly. "God will handle what we can't." Ezinne added quietly, "Hope Bridge was built on hope, not hatred. That's not going to change." The clip would be replayed 1,000 times. Tara watched it from her apartment, her laptop trembling on her knees. She expected rage. She expected revenge. She expected Chike to stand there and tear her to pieces. Instead, she heard, "We will not destroy someone simply because we can." And humans are not defined by their worst decisions. Her chest ached. She whispered to the empty room, "Why are you doing this, Ezinne?" The comments under the live stream began pouring in. I respect them even more now. Who forgives like this in 2025? This is what leadership should look like. Hope Bridge forever? Desmond called. She didn't answer. He called again and again. Finally, she picked up. "This changes nothing," he said immediately. "It's PR. They're trying to look like saints." "I think they are what they're trying to look like," she said softly. Desmond scoffed. "You're emotional. Calm down. This is the part where we hit them again. They're vulnerable." "I'm the one who's vulnerable," Tara replied. "If they show that contract, if they go legal..." "So strike before they do," he cut in. "Leak something worse. Force them onto the defensive." Tara closed her eyes. "I'm done, Desmond." "No, you're not." "Yes," she said firmly. "I am." He was quiet for a moment. Then his tone turned icy. "Then you're on your own, Tara. Don't call me when they tear you apart." He hung up. The line went dead. The room felt too quiet. Tara opened her banking app with shaking fingers. She stared at the balance in a secret account she had kept under her mother's maiden name. Money meant for her someday escape. Without letting herself rethink it, she made a transfer to Hope Bridge Children's Initiative. Amount, 1,500,000 arns. Description, for those still becoming. Her finger hovered over the send button. She whispered, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Then she pressed it. The transfer went through instantly. Tara stared at the confirmation message, her breath unsteady. Something inside her cracked. Something she had held tightly for far too long. It felt like letting go of a war she never truly wanted to fight. For the first time in months, the apartment felt unbearably quiet. No Desmond, no late-night revenge calls, no planning, no anger to cling to, only herself, and the mess she had made. She whispered, "God, what comes next for someone like me?" But she knew the answer wouldn't come from the ceiling. At Hope Bridge Foundation, Ezinne was reviewing files when the alert pinged. A donation had been made, and 500,000, from an anonymous account. She opened it, expecting a foreign donor, but the memo froze her breath. For those still becoming. Ezinne's heartbeat slowed. She understood immediately. Even without a name attached, she felt Tara's handwriting all over those 4 words. For a moment, her eyes burned with unshed tears. Kunle walked in. "Madam, you called me?" Ezinne swallowed back the emotion. "A donation came in." Kunle nodded, unimpressed. "We've been getting a few since the conference. People are slowly trusting again." "No," she said, pointing at the screen. "Look." Kunle read the memo. His eyes widened. "This is her." "Yes," Ezinne whispered. "What do you want to do?" Ezinne closed the laptop gently. "Nothing. Not yet." Kunle studied her. "You wanted to come on her own?" "Yes," she said quietly. "Because healing forced is not healing at all." He nodded. "I'll keep the team off her trail." "Thank you," she replied. "And Kunle, if she comes, show her the side door. No cameras." Kunle understood. Later that afternoon, the Hope Bridge Youth Arts Showcase filled the community hall with chatter, laughter, and the warm chaos of children showing their drawings to anyone who would look. Ezinne moved through the crowd with a soft smile, greeting parents, admiring paintings, letting herself breathe just a little after weeks of turbulence. But then she felt it. An instinctive shift in the room's air, as though someone was standing at the threshold of a decision. She turned. Tara stood near the back of the hall, half hidden by the doorway, clutching her handbag like it was a shield. She wasn't wearing makeup. Her eyes were tired. Her posture was uncertain. Not the powerful assistant who once commanded boardrooms. Just a woman, afraid to step inside. Their eyes met. For a long, breathless moment, neither moved. Tara slowly looked away, blinking hard, as though she couldn't bear the weight of being seen like this. She turned, as if ready to flee. Ezinne stepped forward, not too quickly, not too slowly. Enough to say, "I see you," without saying a word. Tara stopped. She didn't turn back, but she stood still. Ezinne came close enough for her voice to carry softly. "You came?" Tara exhaled shakily. "I shouldn't be here." "But you are," Ezinne said. "That matters." Tara's voice trembled. "Nothing I say can undo what I did." "I know," Ezinne said gently. "That's not why you're here?" Tara swallowed hard. "I don't know how to start." "You just did," Ezinne whispered. Finally, Tara turned to face her fully. Their eyes met again, this time without walls between them. "I didn't hate you," Tara said, the words dragging out of her like a confession. "You were just standing where I wanted to stand, where I thought I deserved to stand." Ezinne nodded. "I understand." "No, you don't," Tara whispered. "I spent years holding a man together, patching holes, fixing crises, carrying burdens I never should have carried, and I told myself that loyalty was love, and that someday he'd see me." Her voice cracked. "But he never did. And when he chose you, it felt like the universe confirming that I was invisible." Ezinne's chest tightened. "You're not invisible to me." Tara laughed weakly. "You're kinder than I deserve." "Maybe," Ezinne replied softly. "But I'm also someone who knows what it feels like to be overlooked. So I refuse to do it to another woman." Emotion flickered across Tara's face. Shock, relief, grief, everything tangled in one moment. "I hurt you," Tara said, "and I hurt the man I once respected most. I don't expect forgiveness." "I didn't come to give you forgiveness," Ezinne said gently. Tara's face fell. "I came," Ezinne continued, to give you space to forgive yourself. Tara covered her mouth, her shoulders shaking silently. A few children ran past, laughing loudly, completely unaware of the fragile moment happening beside them. Ezinne waited until Tara steadied herself. When you're ready to talk properly, I'll be here. Tara nodded slowly. Thank you. She didn't stay long. She didn't hug Ezinne. She didn't apologize formally. Some wounds require quiet spaces, not dramatic speeches. But when she walked out, her steps were steadier than when she arrived. 1 week later, in a small refurbished container in Makoko, a handwritten sign hung above a freshly painted door. The Still Becoming Project Financial Literacy. Confidence building. Safe space for girls. Inside, Tara arranged chairs donated by a church, a chalkboard salvaged from a rundown school, and books she bought with her own money. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She wasn't trying to compete. She wasn't trying to be seen. She was simply trying to rebuild a life with purpose instead of pain. A young girl poked her head through the "Doctor." "Auntie, are you the teacher?" Tara smiled, softly, genuinely. "Yes. Come in." The girl entered shyly, holding a torn notebook. Tara guided her to a seat. "Let's begin with what you already know." And for the first time in a long time, Tara didn't feel like she had something to prove. She felt enough. Across the city, at home, Chike watched the live-stream replay of the Hope Bridge event. Ezinne sat beside him, leaning against his shoulder. "Do you think she'll be okay?" he asked quietly. "Yes," Ezinne said. "She's still becoming." He wrapped an arm around her. "Thank you for keeping my heart from becoming bitter." She smiled. "Thank you for listening." They sat in silence, two people who had been tested by storms and chosen not to let the world harden them. Hope Bridge flourished again. Donors returned. Veltrix faced scrutiny for their stolen prototype. Desmond faded back into the shadows. But Tara didn't need the world to see her redemption. She only needed to live it. And in a small room filled with little girls eager to learn, she did exactly that. If you've stayed with this story till the end, thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more emotionally rich African stories that touch the soul and remind us of the power of second chances.